Hello everybody, welcome to our Business 22 Syllabus Overview for this fall 2020. As with any college class, the syllabus is both a sort of guide to the rules of the game as well as a contract between you and me, the instructor. It provides much of the information needed to approach the class as well as what determines your final grade. Specifically for this class, I set up the syllabus with several sections that are indicated by the orange headings. I will briefly move through each of these sections, mostly just highlighting certain points. Given that we want to keep the video to a manageable time, I will not cover all aspects of the syllabus. I say that since I want to emphasize that you will still need to thoroughly read the syllabus on your own, making sure you understand what are the requirements and expectations for both you and me. As you review, write down any questions or concerns that you may have and post them under the appropriate discussion threads, such as the orientation or my virtual office hours discussion threads under Module 0 in Modules in our Canvas course site. Note that this is a 5-unit class or 5 hours of instruction per week. This translates to 15 hours of work per week. 2 hours of reading, exercises, testing, etc. for each 1 hour of instruction. Please note also that the design of this class is based on a minimum of 15 hours per week. Therefore, please set aside at least 15 hours for this class in your calendar for each of the following 12 weeks. In the instructor information section, I will only mention that my office hours are essentially via the inbox, the virtual office hours discussion thread in Module 0, and or via Zoom by appointment. With respect to course description and learning objectives, I will leave this section for your own review. The course outline topics section shows the sequence and coverage of each part of the course. Part 1 covers the first 5 chapters, introducing some broad business topics such as economics, ethics, and global business. Part 2 then covers the next 3 management chapters. Part 3 covers the marketing topics, while what I would refer to as the business function topics are covered in chapters 9 through 11 and 15 and 16 in the final part of the book, Part 4. Note that the final exam will include questions from all parts. This section also shows the coursework available in our business program. I include here to provide you with a full overview of where you can continue if you're interested in learning more about this field. As you already know, our class is designated as fully online. We have no face-to-face meetings. All work related to this class is conducted virtually within Canvas, the college's course management system. In many of our business classes at Foothill, we also bundle the textbook publisher's website that we call My Lab. It offers a variety of resources to learn the material and for testing. More about My Lab and about registering into it in a separate part of this. The textbook section provides the information to purchase the text and bundle MyLab access code. You have 2 options. Option A includes an ebook version of the textbook and the MyLab access code, purchased at our Foothill College's online bookstore. Option B includes the same as Option A, but purchased directly from the publisher via our Canvas course site. I very highly recommend to purchase Option A. It seems to me to be the best option. Review this section thoroughly and ask me questions as needed via my office hours discussion thread under Module 0 or at my live Zoom sessions. The course communication section explains the different modes of communication between you, your classmates, and me, your instructor. Announcements, for example, are my messages to the whole class usually regarding deadlines, general responses to questions from the discussion threads, career info, current events, and most importantly, updates or changes to assignments, tests, etc. So always make sure to read all of my announcements on each login. A different mode of communication relates to the discussion on chapter topics. I set up several discussion threads, some regular and others as voice threads, for each chapter that you can use to both earn your class participation grade, but also more importantly, to ask questions and provide others with your own insights regarding questions related to chapter reading, homework, maybe the test, etc. Also, within this same section, you will read that the general turnaround response time is 24 to 48 hours when responding to your questions in the inbox or in the discussion threads. However, I am usually much more responsive than that standard. I scan my inbox and respond to your private messages at least twice a day. I also scan and respond to your chapter discussion thread postings at least once per day. At times, I do respond to the discussion threads postings via an announcement instead of replying to each individually. Note that I will like your posting after I read each. Lastly, with respect to this section, I will ask you to always remember that the class runs from Monday at 8 a.m. through Friday at noon. Officially, I am not in the class online starting from Friday at noon through the following Monday at 8 a.m. I reserve the weekends for grading and setting up the materials for the following week. At times, depending on the urgency, I may still come into the class on weekends, but please do not rely on this being the case. The implication is that you can still work and submit assignments over the weekend, but if you need feedback or help, you will want to do much of your reading and homework as early as possible in the week. I will definitely respond to your inbox messages and most of your chapter discussion questions that are posted by Friday at noon. The course assignments section provides detail on each of the types of assignments in this class. Note that at times, I don't always assign all of them, but do review each description in any case. The grading component section that follows will show which assignments are actually assigned for your class and the weighted points for each. The graded component section shows 9 types of assignments. The first ones are labeled CAs or class activities. They are the orientation tasks that are assigned a 0 weighted score, but are required to stay in the class. The CIs or check-ins, 1% of your total grade. I use these to simply get you into our class, into our Canvas shell, at least once early in the week. They take maybe 5 seconds and are due on Wednesday of each week. Hopefully earlier, actually. Similarly, class participation or CP postings are my way to get you into the chapter discussion threads at least once or twice per week. They are also very simple. Just post a question and respond to anyone else's question, meaning a minimum of 2 postings per week in any of the current week's chapter discussion threads. The CP is weighted at 10% of your total grade. The reading checks are simple quizzes to check that you have done a minimum amount of reading early in the week from our textbook for each chapter. Each RC is worth 2%. The total possible for RCs is therefore 24%, calculated as 12 RCs that count at 2% each. Note that the lowest 4 RCs are automatically dropped. Video exercises and simulations are assignment types to give you the opportunity to apply your newly learned concepts from your reading. Each item within each of these type of assignments is worth 2%. The total possible for each of these video exercises or the simulations is therefore 8% for each category. 4 will count at 2% each. Note that the lowest one for each of these types of assignments is automatically dropped. At 12% of your overall grade, the Entrepreneurship Building Blocks, or EBBs, are a simple set of hands-on activities that will reinforce and provide you with the opportunity to develop some selected business skills, such as writing an elevator pitch or developing a break-even analysis. The team project that follows is based off the previous EBBs. They are intended to develop your team collaboration and project management skills. This part of your grade is worth 14%. There are no midterm exams, but there is a final exam worth 23% of your total grade. Finally, with respect to the graded components in general, I will mention that the RCs, the video exercises, and the simulations assignments are unlimited time and effectively unlimited takes. So there's no reason why each person could not maximize their scores for this part of the grade. For this reason, there's no extra credit planned for this class. But once in a while, if there is, I may still announce an extra credit opportunity via the announcements feature in Canvas. Moving forward in the syllabus overview, I will ask you to review the following parts of the syllabus on your own, including the grading scale, other course policies, and the additional resource sections. Pay special attention to the withdrawal and drop deadlines, as well as the late assignments policy. The class calendar section shows that the class is organized by week, using Monday of each week as a starting point. Within each week, the class calendar shows what is covered and the deliverables that are due and when. The time deadline is always 11:59 p.m. or right before midnight, unless otherwise announced. Note, for example, that in week 1, the orientation tasks are due by Wednesday, including your bio and your quiz. Note also that as soon as you are done with your orientation tasks, you should move to the chapter work that starts with chapter 1. Its reading check, or RC1, is due by Sunday. The first video exercise is also due on this first Sunday coming up. Note that in any 1 week, there may be multiple chapters covered. There are 2 final sections, the important notes and declaration statement sections. Please review those on your own, especially the parts regarding the bump-ups and student responsibilities. One very final point. Note that at the very bottom of the syllabus page in Canvas, there is a section labeled Course Summary that reflects dates, assignments, and due dates. These are automatically generated by Canvas. Please do not rely on these due dates in this part of the syllabus. Although they are about 90% accurate, at times they are not for a variety of reasons. Instead, do rely on the class calendar. It is the one document that controls all due dates, unless otherwise announced via announcements. Thanks for taking the time to view and listen to this syllabus overview. As mentioned above, please do review the full syllabus on your own. If you have any questions, post them in the orientation discussion thread under Module 0.